Hey guys, welcome back to another Warframe video where today we are going to be looking at my updated Chroma Profit Taker build. Now for those of you who have been following my channel for a while, you might have seen something similar to this build during my Warframe Done Efficiently series. I have done a previous video on Chroma Profit Taker, but it was more of a budget build that was a work in progress. I will leave a link to that down in the description below if perhaps some of the things you will see here you cannot afford or you do not have access to. But this build is the more min-maxed version, like I said, now that I have reached the endgame. So we are just going to run through that build. I'm also going to be taking a look at the on-call crewmate, as I am going to be utilizing him in this. And then we're going to do a quick run of Profit Taker just to demonstrate the build and round out the video after that. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Profit Taker fight, one of the key points for fighting Profit Taker is you want to be covering as many elements on your weapons as possible. And in this particular build here, when we include our on-call crewmate, we can cover every single element solo. We don't need another partner to help us out. So that's the real important part of this, and it's something which I couldn't achieve in my budget build video, which I'll put down below. Now, it's not totally important to be able to cover all of the elements, as you can cycle the Profit Taker's shield using your operator. However, if you want to get it done as fast as possible, you are going to need to cover every single element so that you can be continually dealing damage to Profit Taker's shield. Now, just a quick bit on why Profit Taker is such a good credit farm. Profit Taker drops 125,000 credits without credit booster each time. Now, the important thing there is drop. It is not an end of mission reward, which means that it can be affected by various abilities as well as your Smeeta Kavat. So Effigy on Chroma, as you can see here, has a 2x credit multiplier, meaning if we pick up those 125,000 credits while standing within it, we are going to double that number up to 250,000. If we were then to add a credit booster on top of that, we could get it up to 500,000. And then if we get a Smeeta Kavat buff on top of that, we can get up to 1 million. And obviously Smeeta Kavat buffs can stack pretty much infinitely, up to about 5 times really within the period of time that the double drop booster is active. You can also increase it even further by having a credit booster from the relays. So, you know, if you're mastery rank 30, you can go ahead and get a credit blessing. That'll increase your credit income by 25%. It's all additive, but obviously when things start getting doubled, that additive also becomes doubled with it. So something to bear in mind, you can stack up credits very, very quickly. So it's a very lucrative way to farm, and you should be able to get it done between 2 and 3 minutes on average with this build. Perhaps even faster if you get a lucky skip phase. We'll get into that in a second though. So it's much faster than you can do index rotations, even in a squad usually. So that's why we are going to be doing it. So let's run through the build now and take a look at what we've got. So first of all, the Archon shards I have on here, not strictly speaking relevant at all. I have 2 that are just giving me some extra health. I have 1 on casting speed. This is probably the most important one to me, as its utility is very, very nice to have, to be honest. Casting my 3rd ability and my 1st ability constantly, which we'll get into in a second. And then I have 2 more here just to give a bit of extra ability strength. On the build, we have Arcane Grace. This is probably the most expensive thing we have on here. I believe the market value at time of recording is about 800 platinum, so it is quite pricey. But like I said, this is an endgame build, and if you guys want to see the budget build, I think we might even use that in the budget build, to be honest. So, you know, if you don't have this, it's fine. You can perhaps throw something like Arcane Guardian on, something just to give you a bit more of Arcane Tanker, where you cast your Arch Gun, and it provides you with 1200 armor, is also a very viable pick there. And I've also got Arcane Nullifier on to prevent any magnetic status procs that the Profit Taker throws out at me, which it does quite liberally usually, so bear that in mind. Otherwise, the build is based around duration and strength, with a decent amount of tankiness as well. We've got Umbral Vitality and Intensify on here. We have 850 energy with Prime Flow and Preparation, starting us off at that maximum 850 energy, so we should never run out of energy during this. I have also got Smite subsumed onto my 1st ability here, which is going to provide radiation damage to all of my weapons. Now, if you remember previously, I said that we want to be covering as many elements as possible. This is a tier 2 element, which means it's obviously combining heat and electric, 2 elements to create one. So the fact that we can cover radiation off just with an ability makes it very, very, very strong for this particular build. So yeah, that's basically everything that this is focused on. We're going to be using our Vex armor quite a lot, and we're also going to be using our Effigy as well at the end to get that credit booster. So Secondary, I am actually using my Latum here. I know I didn't go primary, it's just because I happened to click on secondary first. We will go back to the Zenith, fear not. But yeah, I'm using the Latum here. Now, this is a bit of an interesting pick because I know a lot of people would like to use a Tenet weapon here. Usually Tenet Diplos, given they have kind of the highest DPS, or they're understood to have the highest DPS. But personally, I don't really like using the Diplos. They're a bit janky, to me at least. So I'm using this 4-former Latum build right here, which does the job just fine. I have 2 elements. I have gas and I have cold on here. Everything else is geared towards multi-shot as well as damage. And if we want to look at my Incarnon upgrades here, we have the 50% chance to deal 2000%. Then we have the plus status chance, negative crit chance. Then we have 30% reload speed. Then we have fire rate, and obviously just the normal Incarnon form at the end there. So this is what we're using for Latum. Make sure you have at least 2 elements on each weapon here. I've got gas and cold. On my primary, I have corrosive and heat. And if we take a look at the semi-automatic fire, which is what we're primarily going to be using, I do have a Riven mod, which is going to give me a great deal extra critical damage and multi-shot. The negative damage to Grineer, obviously not going to hinder us here since we're against Corpus. Everything else geared towards those 2 elements, so corrosive and heat, and then everything is multi-shot and damage, and that's about it with stabilizer. We then also have an Exodia Saw on. This is a improvement over my previous Saw in the budget video. We have on here a very, very good Riven mod, plus crit chance, plus melee damage with a negative. So our crit chance is basically nearly guaranteed to give us orange crits with a decent crit multiplier as well. It's not great, but it's still decent, and I think that's worth noting. And then we have ourselves Viral and Electricity. Now, it's worth noting that Exodia Contagion is able to proc Viral, but you have to aim it very, very specifically, and it's pretty tricky to hit most of the time in order to proc Viral just using Exodia Contagion. It also provides blast damage, so that's another element that we're covering off with Exodia Contagion. So just with this Exodia Saw, we are going to be covering off all of kind of the normal things here, maybe rather than puncture, but impact and slash we're certainly going to be able to cover off using this, as well as electricity, viral, and blast, all on our Exodia Contagion. So definitely a must-have, I must say. And then on our pets, let's take a look at our Smeeta Kavat here. We have ourselves a 2-former build. Primed Animal Instinct doesn't really matter in this case, but you want to make sure you have Fetch on for sure, and everything else, oh, Charm as well, obviously. And you could also put Tech Enhance on to increase the duration of any buffs that your Kavat gives you. Another very useful mod indeed. And everything else, yeah, geared towards tankiness, making sure your cat does not die. In terms of the arc gun that we're going to be using, or the heavy weapon, I am going to be using the Morzelon. This is a 2-former build, although my primary Bidu barrel is not maxed out. I could output 1 more, to be fair, but, you know, for now it's fine. And we've geared this towards radiation, and as that's going to be doing the most damage to the Prophet Taker itself. So, yeah, again, having the radiation boost from Smite on our frame is also going to increase our radiation here for when we are taking out the Prophet Taker's limbs after we take down the shield. So, yeah, very important build. You also probably want to put on ammo chain as well, and I will explain why as we are doing the run. It's basically so that you can reduce the cooldown, but I'll explain that as we go. So yeah, that's the kind of overall build that we're using here for our Chroma. We are also using Unairu, I should point out, for Poise. Literally only for Poise. If you have Prime Sure-Footed, obviously you can whack that on Chroma. It's probably going to serve you better, but Poise is kind of the cheap man's Prime Sure-Footed. It basically is going to make us immune to knockdown, which Prophet Taker is very good at doing. So yeah, another important little tip there as well. So yeah, let's now take a quick look at our on-call crewmate, and then after that we will jump into the run. Alright guys, so our on-call crewmate here on the right, the cool looking one, we have ourselves the Kuvanukor on here, and he is covering the last 2 elements that we are going to need, which is radiation, or last 3 rather, radiation, magnetic, and toxin, although I believe it's just magnetic and toxin that we are going to need here. The Kuvanukor has radiation as innate damage, so we're not interested in that. But we are getting the last 2, which is magnetic and toxin. And this is the build, so it's basically just built towards crit chance and crit multiplier. The Kuvanukor has a very low crit chance, but given its crit multiplier at 10.5 times, it is worth building into it that way. And if you have a Riven that can increase that even further, then yeah, your quid's in, really. And yeah, that's basically it. So the kind of sequence of events that we're going to be going through is we are going to be landing, we are going to be proccing our third ability on Chroma, we are then going to put our on-call crewmate down, and we are going to proc our Smite Infusion on ourselves and our on-call crewmate to give him a boost in radiation damage, and then we will put the on-call crewmate on hold nearby to the Prophet Taker, so he is constantly dealing these elements to it. So just bear that in mind for when we actually come to do the run. That's what's going to be happening. So yeah, that's basically it. So without further ado, let's hop into it. I'll jump into Fortuna and get the Prophet Taker bounty going. Alright guys, so to start the Prophet Taker fight, we are going to come to Yudiko in the back room, hit Prophet Taker phase 4. Bear in mind you need to be rank 5 with Vox Solaris in order to do this. Let's click, or spam left click, sorry, to get through that. Now before we head in here, I just want to kind of run through the sequence of events because things are going to be happening very quickly and it's going to be very difficult for me to explain things on the fly. So basically, we're going to fly over to the Prophet Taker to begin with. We're going to land, hit our Vex Armor, which is our third ability, to get some extra health and damage. We are then going to go in and out of Operator to make sure we have Poise activated so we don't get knocked over. Then we'll throw down our on-call crewmate, put him on hold, and we are going to use our first ability, Smite Infusion, to give both us and the on-call crewmate additional radiation damage. We will then proceed to take down the shield using our weapons based on whatever element the Prophet Taker is displaying on his front side. Once the shield goes down, we'll get our arch gun out, and we will take out each of the legs of the Prophet Taker and then the Prophet Taker's body, at which point the shield will come back up. We can put our arch gun away, and then we will use our Zenith to destroy any of the beacons that the Prophet Taker throws out. As the Zenith has infinite punch through, we do not have to be up close to them to shoot them, because the Zenith can just shoot straight through their shields. It is a very, very nice tool to be able to have. Now, once all of that is done, we'll obviously repeat the process, and then the Prophet Taker will go down. We will then position ourselves towards the rear left leg of the Prophet Taker and put down our effigy. And then when the Prophet Taker dies, he will drop 125,000 credits, which we will suck into our effigy, and then get that doubled up to 250,000. Now, it is worth noting that there is a slight chance that the Prophet Taker may skip one of his beacon phases, which will save us in the range of 30 to 40 seconds. It is actually quite a big time save. So if that happens, consider yourself lucky. As far as I'm aware, there is no actual way to, you know, make this happen. It just happens randomly. I don't know what the scenario is that does it. If anyone does know, leave that down in the comments below. I'd be very interested to read about it. But yeah, let's hop in, guys. And I will try and obviously explain what's going on the fly as best I can. But like I said, it's going to be very quick, so we may not be able to articulate our thoughts as well as we want here. But I like to start just over these two peaks right here. It kind of gives you a good central point in the radius for where the Prophet Taker can spawn. He is over here. This is probably my least favourite spot, actually. So we're going to land, come in and out of Operator, throw down on-call crewmate, put him on hold, use our first ability, and then proceed to take down the shield. The shield is already down. There we go. We can use our arc gun now, limbs, and then take down the body, like so. Put our arc gun away. Now we have our Zenith out. And we'll wait for these pylons to fall. There we go. Arc gun back out. Arc gun away. Make sure our... Oh, that's my secondary right here. So this would be our on-call crewmate, but he might be getting knocked over right now, which is unfortunate. Yeah, he's kind of being bullied a bit, but it's fine. There we go. Shield down again. Arc gun out. Arc gun away. Again, let's keep our Vex Armor and our Smite Infusion up and our Poise. We get to shoot all the pylons now. Oh, aim's a bit off, it seems. Like so. And then we can carry on shooting things. Magnetic, that'll be our Uncle crewmate, but he is again kind of indisposed. There we go. Out with the arc gun, so we just hit the 2-minute mark there. And dead. 2 minutes and 10 seconds there, but obviously we've got to get out first. I'm going to be utilizing the teleport function on the map. But first of all, we're going to sit behind this back left limb. Right here. And block our effigy, like so. And then just before he dies, I'm going to go ahead and click Fortuna. You can see in the bottom of the screen there, we got 250,000 credits. And we're out. So you can see very, very fast. And without a credit booster, which I will show you in a second, I just have an affinity booster on right now, we did indeed get 250,000 credits in 2 minutes and 43, in and out. So it is very, 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 very fast, and obviously you'd be hard pushed to be able to do an index rotation in that time, especially solo. I think that's what's worth noting here, is that this is by far and away the best way to farm credits on solo. Now just to prove it, I only have an affinity booster on, no credit booster, so my Chroma's effigy did indeed double the Profit Taker's 125,000 credits to 255,000. So hopefully that shows you that you are able to farm credits very quickly using this method. So let's round that off in the Orbiter now, guys, and yeah, just bring the video to a close. Alright guys, so hopefully that was all very interesting and you enjoyed my Endgame Chroma Profit Taker build. If you guys have any takes on this, do let me know down in the comments below. I am aware, obviously, of all the different kind of builds that are going on right now using Kuva Ogress with Vault and stuff like that, but the reason we're using Chroma here is for the credit elements. Even if you are running Vault, you know, obviously you can do the run very, very fast as Vault, but you don't get that double credits, and using Chroma, if you can get the time down low enough with Chroma, then you can easily outpace Vault in terms of farming credits up. Maybe not farming toroids or relics, but certainly farming credits up. Chroma is the best shout for it. So yeah, if you guys have your suggestions, again, leave them down in the comments below. Otherwise, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. I'll see you later.